Welcome to MarketSnap's daily market rundown. The market just got a wake-up call that the AI trade isn't a one-way bet. While the Dow quietly ground higher, the Nasdaq got hammered, and the biggest loser wasn't some speculative penny stock. It was SpaceX, dropping over 16% in a single session. That's a $300 billion-plus swing in a company that just IPO'd. We're going to unpack that, plus the real story behind the tech rotation, and what a legendary Fed chair's passing means for the market's next move. Let's start with the tape. The S&P 500 slipped 0.37% to 7,473, while the Nasdaq Composite took a real hit, dropping 0.13% to 26,167. The Dow, however, was the outlier, grinding up 0.29% to 51,713. The Russell 2000 outperformed, gaining 0.83%, which tells you there was some rotation into smaller names. The VIX ticked up to 1728, a sign that the calm we saw last week is starting to fray. The big story today was the massive sell-off in SpaceX. The stock cratered 16.43%, wiping out a huge chunk of its post-IPO gains. The catalyst? News that the company is preparing a $20 billion bond offering, which spooked investors who were already questioning the valuation. This single name dragged down the entire space complex, with Rocket Lab and Redwire both sliding over 6%. Alphabet also got crushed, down nearly 5%, after losing two top AI researchers to rivals. That's a $269 billion market cap wipeout in a single day for Google. Oracle, Netflix, and Palantir all took hits of 5 to 7%, as the AI trade got a serious reality check. On the flip side, the winners today were all about hardware and infrastructure. Micron surged nearly 7% ahead of its earnings report on Wednesday, where analysts expect earnings to nearly quadruple. Corning, Vertiv, and Ciena all rallied over 7%, as the market rotated from AI software plays into the companies actually building the physical backbone. Intel jumped 5%, continuing its massive turnaround story. And in a bizarre twist, Getty Images skyrocketed 90% after announcing a surprise deal with OpenAI. The most active names tell you everything you need to know about today's split personality. Nvidia was the most traded stock, but it barely moved, down just 1%. The real volume was in SpaceX, Intel, and Netflix. Supermicro was one of the biggest movers, surging 15% after an analyst upgrade. The macro backdrop is getting more interesting by the day. Oil prices are sliding below $80 a barrel as U.S.-Iran peace talks show real progress. That's a double-edged sword. It's great for inflation and airline stocks, but it's crushing energy names like SLB and Suncor, which are down 9 to 15% on the week. Meanwhile, bond yields are rising, with the 10-year Treasury pushing toward 4.5% as the market prices in a more hawkish Fed. New Fed Chair Kevin Warsh has made it clear he won't ride to the rescue if the market gets shaky. We also lost a giant today. Alan Greenspan, the former Fed chairman who defined modern central banking, passed away at 100. His legacy is complicated. He was hailed as a maestro during the 1990s boom, but his low-rate policies are often blamed for the housing bubble. His death is a reminder that the Fed's role in markets has never been more central or more debated. Looking ahead, this week is all about Micron. The memory chip giant reports on Wednesday, and expectations are sky-high. Revenue is expected to nearly quadruple to $35 billion, with earnings per share jumping to nearly $20. The stock is already up over 800% in the last year, so the bar is set incredibly high. We also have earnings from Kroger, CarMax, and Darden restaurants later this week, which will give us a read on the consumer. You can find exclusive earnings transcript summaries on MarketSnap. Looking at the sector action over the past week, the rotation is clear. Consumer cyclical and industrials have been the strongest, up 1.6% and 1.4% respectively. Healthcare is also showing signs of life, but technology is flat over the week, and communication services has been a laggard. The big loser is energy, down over 4% in the last 5 days as oil prices collapse. The one-week winners list is a who's who of the AI infrastructure trade. SpaceX was up 23% before today's crash, CoreWeave gained 19%, and Robinhood surged 16%. But the one-week losers list tells a different story. SLB is down 15%, Kroger 11%, and IBM 10%. The market is clearly rewarding the builders and punishing the old guard. A few other notable stories. Berkshire Hathaway, now under Greg Abel, made a bold bet on Delta Airlines, buying nearly $2.7 billion worth of shares. That's a massive shift from Warren Buffett's famous aversion to airlines. Also, the housing market got a boost from a bipartisan bill aimed at banning Wall Street from buying single-family homes, though analysts say it will take time to meaningfully affect affordability. That's a wrap for today's stock market summary from MarketSnap. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, make sure to check out our daily SWOT analyses on the biggest movers. We break down the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats so you can make smarter, long-term decisions. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.